name as the call to preach. We are all responsible for discerning and describing as best we can with the skills we've got. But there is no way to know for sure how a sermon will land, where it will take folks, where folks will take it. Part of the difficulty, a difficulty the Deuteronomic preacher surely understands, is that what listeners most need to hear is often what they find most hard to hear. Homiletician Fred Craddock puts it very well. The journey from I know to I know is the longest journey any of us ever take. From what we know of Israel's history, this preacher's sermon does not seem to have been highly successful in moving hearts, in opening eyes and ears. But this does not for one moment mean that the sermon was not faithful. Whatever your take on the risk-benefit ratio of the strategies employed, the passion of this preacher's love for God is palpable, isn't it? As is the deep care for the folks whom the preacher addresses. The sermon text doesn't say so, but I'd like to think that in delivery, the preacher's tone isn't angry, shrill, judgmental, but quiet, intense, earnest, eyes ablaze with compassionate fire. I'm hoping that it was for this preacher like it was for another preacher generations later, a preacher who was ridiculed while speaking to philosophers in Athens, but who still heard a few listeners say, "We will hear you again on this matter." When I am daunted as a preacher with the task ahead, trying to listen to scripture, tradition, culture, community, trying to say what words can't capture, what listeners can't fathom, when the sermon just isn't coming or seems to fall flat, I want to remember what that preacher in Athens wrote to the church in Corinth. That one preacher plants, another preacher waters, but only God gives the growth. When I am out of homiletical imagination and energy, the goal of a well-shaped sermon seemingly beyond my reach, I am so grateful that I can look into that great cloud of sister and brother preaching witnesses and spot my Deuteronomic preaching colleague. I hear that old colleague calling out, "Come on, it's not about our words, it's about the Word. If you can do it, if I can do it, you can do it." Then I and we take a deep breath, take another step, and as we do, say, by God's grace, in God's power, of course we can.